if you're going to go after a
My new
minority
manager.
group, who is less apt to hurt you than midgets or little people, right? You
What can they
make
do to
fun
me?
of other groups. They have big, serious, threatening people, not midgets. What are they going to do? Come up and kick you in the knee or something? That's
What are they going to do to me, AV?
I think that was a good group to insult.
You know, that's okay. I'm really glad you said that, Gary, because we actually have a little person on the call. They've been listening. And so Dan is going to bring them in right now, and we can sort of open a dialogue here. Okay? So this is Aubrey.
So far, so good.
She liked the joke.
Gary.
Hello, Aubrey.
Hi, Gary.
How you doing?
How you doing, kid?
Yeah, love you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Even though you think I would come up and kick you in the shins.
Well, I have pretty low shins too, so.
And you guys are both pretty short, so I wouldn't really be coming after our community. I'm kidding. No, Jimmy, the comments that you made, you weren't really serious. Like you don't actually dislike little people, right?
This is an act. It's
exactly.
an act.
Exactly.
And I'm a loving, big-hearted, nice guy that does a comedy act, which is being offensive and creating controversy and havoc and pandemonium and mayhem. And I don't mean anything I say. So
No,
if people actually think I'm racial and I hate Jews and I don't like Italians and I don't want blacks around, you're out of your mind. It's an act to be entertaining and have fun. And that's simply all it is. My comedy's intended to laugh at ourselves, which people don't want to do anymore, and to have fun. If you guys accept it in that matter, I'm grateful. If you're not, I would tell you to fly Ozark Airlines. That's the airline where the pilot says, we're up. No, it's just intended to laugh at ourselves, Aubrey. That's all it is.
Right. No, yeah, I am. Trust me, I grew up. I've been performing since in the entertainment industry, in the circus since I was 4. Now I do stand-up comedy. Trust me, I was not offended, and I think I could tell it wasn't really a serious comment to begin with.
No, and none of my Aubrey comedies are intended to offend people. It's shock comedy to make people laugh because nobody does the politically incorrect comedy anymore and the fun stuff. And I feel, I have to keep it alive. Rickles did it. Joan Rivers did it. And Dangerfield, he self-deprecated, but he did a little bit too. But I think in all fairness to our generation, I think we have to keep things alive. I really do for us middle-aged people.
Thank you for lumping me in there with you.
Middle-aged people, as Dr. Greg would say.
But just a quick question. So besides the jokes and stuff, I just wanted to get your frame set. Do you actually know any people with dwarfism?
I didn't hear what you said. Do I know
any people
with dwarfism? Do you know any people?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you know them like personally, like as a friend or more of like in a business?
I have patients.
Okay. Who are little people?
Well, you call them little people. We call them midgets. But yes, little people. Yeah, I have 2 of them.
And then, Gary, what about you?
I do not, I'm afraid. But
I didn't do that joke on them, Aubrey, in the office, by the way.
Oh, I know, Jim.
Because I'm a dentist in the office, not the comedian.
I think, that pretty good progress has been made in terms of what people call little people. It seems like people pretty easily moved over to not using dwarf, midget, any of the what turned out to be kind of negative connotations to you guys. And I think you hear little people a lot. I think it's really been one of the more successful rebrandings of a group, and people should be entitled to be called whatever they want to be called.
What do you think? What has been because I mean, to be honest, like not in a negative way, but you do come from a very different generation where there was very different representations, obviously, of little people. Even medically speaking, doctors used to still use the word midget, even though midget's never been, there's no such thing as a midget. We are people with dwarfism, and there's hundreds of types of dwarfism that some are 4'9", some are 2'5". I'm 3'10".
Aubrey, can I ask you a question? Now you're talking about this. I'm listening. How tall do you think Abraham Lincoln was? Just take a guess.
He's 6'4". I was just watching something.
Nope, he was 4'9". The hat was 1.5 feet. He was a dwarf. So there you go. It exactly communicates what you're talking about. I'm the only one that knew that. I was at the goddamn assassination, Zach and I.
He's not a dwarf. There are people
He
who
was
are
a dwarf. I have all the information
What,
from Zach.
what dwarfism does he have?
The hat was a foot and a half.
What dwarfism does he have? What form of dwarfism?
You call Mary Todd, you talk to her. I'll have her take your call. He's still here.
No. Let's be productive though, for real. Because I do feel like the only instance and what was made me so interested to talk to you is just because I understand what you're doing. Like
I appreciate, because you're in the entertainment business.
Right. But entertainment also still has to have a reasoning behind it, right? Like the things we say and the things that we do are supposed to reflect ourselves, what we believe in, what we hope others would as well. Regardless if it's clickbait humor, regardless if it's something, it's meant to invoke some form of a, hey, I agree with that guy. So my only question was just, if you do know little people, and you're not really scared of them, then why do you see maybe why it would be a little bit, not even problematic, I want to use is the word, but do you see how it could be
offensive, you're going to say?
No, not offensive, because there are little people who literally voluntarily will go and participate in things that are degrading, like all of the actors in every movie you've seen where they're making fun of little people, like they voluntarily signed up to be in it. Just like there are comedians who are little people who make horrible jokes about even worse than what you've said about our own community. Right. So it's not about offense. I'm just more like, from my perspective, I'm someone who for the last year has had a disability hate group on YouTube who is trying to do what you're doing in terms of like edgy comedy, edgy humor, but has gone as far as leaking my information just because I'm a little person. They literally search the internet to find people like me who are just living our lives.
Aubrey, let me give you an example. I got an uncle.
Jimmy, just let me finish. I promise. I will be
Well, I
sure.
want to validate something about a relative of mine.
No, I'm not. You don't need to validate, and you don't need. I'm just saying what, from this perspective of someone who has gone on this journey and have had, I've literally been talking to little people in my community who have been backup dancers for the biggest singers, who have been on Broadway, who are, in movies, who are every single day passing by people on the street who have that type of humor of, if they're little people, I'm scared of them, but if you're close to my crotch, you might as well suck it. It seems as if you don't really understand, but just want to acknowledge that you will continue making them because you make them about everybody, which I understand. But do you see how maybe that would have like real world implications for a group that has no representation?
I understand.
That is ever shown in a sexual or violent manner? Like David Dobrik was showing videos with tens of millions of views, inspiring millions of kids, where they were putting little people in objects and hitting them with cars. They were pretending like they were hurting them, making comments kind of similar to what you're making. So I'm saying, even just as a comedian, I really just don't think that's the lane you want to go down.
Okay, I got you.
Like, do you see at least where it would come into outside of entertainment spaces, how people would be affected by that? And it wouldn't be like, I'm offended by what Jimmy said, but more like some guy on the streets taking pictures and following me because he heard you make a joke and he likes you. And he's like, oh, that guy also scared of midgets. Let me go take a picture of this midget. Like, do you see that correlation?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Because I don't think you're that person, but as someone who's literally making a movie right now about how YouTube allows people to follow us around who sometimes are minors and go around calling us all of these names because they can, which is fair, but that aren't even names that are reflective of a medical condition, that are literally just a slur. Like midget, there's no such thing as a midget. Like you can't go to a doctor and be like, my kid's a midget, like help them. They're going to go, what type of dwarfism do your child has?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why I was like, I don't think you want to die in the rabbit hole of using the word midget,
I got you. I got you. And Zach's been telling me to quit for years. I may have to take his advice.
I don't think you should quit, but I definitely think you should realize that comedy can be sustained without literally using someone else as a punching bag.
I have plenty of other jokes. I don't have to use the midget joke.
I don't think that I still think, because I've watched shows like Family Guy where they've mentioned little people. Are those jokes written by people with disabilities? No. But I think you can still pull it off if you have done the research on the community, the things that are stereotypes and not true, and the things that are subjective, and you understand that we're still people at the end of the day, and as you said, everyone can be joked about. I think if you were just to delve into that a little bit more, then I don't think anybody would care that you were making those comments. I just think it's the offhandedness and the fact that you're just quick to move on to another joke where I get followed in stores and I have someone online literally who's been stalking and threatening and harassing me to thousands of people every week just because I have dwarfism. And he calls it what? He calls it Midget Wednesday. So that's why I'm like, I just don't think you would want to be associated with that.
No, I don't. I'm going to let that one go.
Jimmy, this is an iconic conversation then, you realize.
We're letting it go after listening to you. I got you.
He's only
Loud
going
and clear, loud and clear.
He's only going to tell little people jokes from now.
No, I'm not ever going to do a little people joke again. We're going to knock that off the docket, hon.
No, I feel like you're lying to me, Jimmy. That's what I'm saying.
Your reputation precedes you.
My reputation precedes
No,
myself.
I feel like this was, I just know that you're a very opinionated person.
I have histrionic personality disorder. I have another funny joke about little people.
Go for it. Tell me. Let's go through all of them. I'll give
You
you
want it? You want it? You're one black girl that's not going to play basketball. That I know. That's cute without being too fresh.
That's not funny because there's professional people with dwarfism playing.
No, I threw a curveball because you dared me. You made me do it.
Okay, it has to be a good curveball though, Jimmy.
Was it a bad curveball?
A little sidebar going on?
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
sidebar.
Sidebar.
Okay.
Aubrey, thank you for calling in.
Wait, what was that sidebar, guys? What just happened?
Well,
He
if we
does not want me
wanted
here.
everyone to hear, we would have said it out loud.
I have histrionic personality disorder.
Yes, we did hear that. We know, Jimmy.
Right. And people with dwarfism have made you and your histrionic disorder able to function and have, the ADA is responsible for
I'm
so much.
ADD.
Right. And that's covered under the ADA.
And I have histrionic personality disorder.
You're disabled as well.
Work with me.
You were late on the midget use because even Ethan
I
knew
was
that,
indecisive. Now I'm not so sure. Work with me.
I'm trying. I said to give me jokes and you were like, bye.
If you're English, eat the muffins. I have histrionic personality disorder.
Okay, Jimmy.
You have a doctor for me?
Why do you keep saying that?
Jimmy, what's going on? Is this registering at all? Any of this?
It is registering.
Okay.
But what are you thinking? Where's your head at? That's why I'm like, I know
Well,
you're.
I've definitely sworn off little people jokes.
Can you look at me without your sunglasses and give that to me in the camera?
We're swearing off little people jokes.
Jimmy, you weren't supposed to do it that easy.
I have a zillion other jokes. I can take the little people jokes out.
Aubrey, where are you you're in Southern California somewhere?
I'm right now in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Hot,
I've been spending a lot of
probably.
time.
How's the weather out there?
It's hot.
Hot?
Hotter than the heat that I know you were put under just now.
You
were shaking. You were
Aubrey.
shaking.
Aubrey.
Your face is bright red, Jimmy.
No more little people jokes.
It's the bronzer.
It's the bronzer
No,
from Olivia. Thank you for calling in.
How did they
appreciate
find you, by the way?
Actually, they found me because I posted on the Reddit thread, and 3.6 thousand people thought that it would be important to discuss dwarfism issues.
Awesome.
It
Very
have
nice.
an issue with the verbiage that was being used. And as someone who's watched H3 since the very, very beginning of this pandemic, so it's been 2.5 years now. I've watched Families. I've seen Gary lots of times. That's why I was like, yeah, it does bum me out a little bit to hear that you guys seemingly don't really care as much about people with dwarfism when you're put in a position where you have to be held accountable. I wasn't looking, of course, for you to not use jokes about that, but I was curious to see how much you cared. And that's why I wanted your feedback. And the fact that you'd rather go to a commercial than talk about something that clearly is affecting, 100,000 people every year are born with dwarfism. 2 people like you.
It's easy to pick any single statement or issue, and look at just that. And obviously, it's impossible for us to know what you've had to deal with. So I certainly feel more enlightened than I did when I walked in here. But it's still something that, especially these days, we're also stuck in our own heads. It's hard to climb into someone else's head and see where they're coming from, especially when their life experience is so different.
No, exactly. But I'm saying at the end of the day, walking down the street, I'm just a foot and a half shorter than you.
Right.
I'm not 2 feet tall. I pay my taxes. I drive a car. I have a house. I've had relationships with only average height people. Not to say that there's not little people. I'm just saying we are normal people. This isn't a question about, can't imagine your life or can't get in your head. You're making a joke about someone who just happens to be shorter than you. That's really it. And you're saying that you don't really know much about this community, but we can't get in everyone's head. No, this is not about that. That's why I was trying to come on to level, just be like, as a real person, yes, I'm in the entertainment industry, but there are real people out there who are just asking for any type of representation, any type of voice. And then this opportunity comes, for example, where the voice is, and you're asked to, hey, are these comments about a marginalized group appropriate? And instead of going, maybe not, you ran with it. And then the shock on your faces when I entered was indicative that you do know that you were kind of messing up a little bit before. And that's why I was kind of wanting the dialogue and wanting some questions, wanting some back and forth. But the pushback, it's not supposed to be comfortable.
I feel like we're kind of going in a bit of back and forth in a circle with the parties involved, but we appreciate, your perspective, Aubrey. It's been very informative and enlightening, and I hope it's resonating with people. So, we appreciate you calling in and sort of, yeah.
You have, because I understand, and I feel bad I kind of did that, and I'm not going to do it again. We don't have to talk 6 hours about it. I get it.
No, I agree.
I apologize. I'm not going to do it again, and that's it. I'm a man. I made a mistake. And I'm not going to do it again, and I'm sorry.
Please,
I made a big mistake, and you know what? If to admit that's a big thing, so I did.
No, I agree. That's why I was
you did make progress.
Jimmy,
it's done.
okay, you can stop at the I made progress.
Yeah.
And
You did make progress, because
there.
for me to say I'm not going to do a joke again, you know me with my jokes.
I'm
not gonna do a little people joke again.
This is reformed Jimmy. You did promise off of these types of jokes, and you went right back to them.
That's partially true too, but not on that one. Not on that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Aubrey.
Thanks,
for calling
Aubrey.
in.
Like, I love talking and arguing. It's, if I ever came across a certain way, please don't think that like I'm going to be sitting here like, oh, Jimmy, I couldn't trust me. When I say that you are not offensive in the way that you talk about little people that I hear every single day. So it's not about being offended at all.
It wasn't
and Gary, I'm like
harmful intended. I just do comedy, which is what Gary just said before. That's
I know. No, I love it. And again, I'm a comedian, guys. Like, you don't know my humor too. So you don't know, I could be just as, but
you can make fun of a Jew. I'm right here. Just don't shoot me.
We don't need to make
Two
fun of
Jews.
anybody
Two
that-
Jews planning a fire.
2 Jews walk into a
Lots of
bar.
other-
Two
there's
Jews
lots
walking in
of
a bar,
other-
and neither one pays.
There's lots of other content out there, and that's what I would just like to say as my final thing.
Well,
And
thank you. Thanks.
Thank you,
Please,
Aubrey.
Jimmy, please look up dearaveragehightpeople.com. It will have all the information about what
The
we're
Jersey
going
Outlaw in the house. No more little people jokes.
Just educate. That's all I can ask for. Thank you guys for having me.
Hey,
Seriously.
thank you.
so
Thanks
much,
for being
Aubrey.
a fan, and it was
being a fan.
wonderful having this conversation with you.
Of course.
And Aubrey, once again, where can we find your project that you're working
Yeah,
on?
so I'm making a documentary comedy special about that disability hate group because YouTube just doesn't care enough to protect small creators. So it's dearaveragehightpeople.com. And we're raising money right now to finish the film. We're shooting in LA. That's where my creative producer from, who's a little woman as well. It's going to be like that's why it's like, Jimmy, you would love this. It's literally like we're taking the jokes.
Put me
and
on, but no more little people jokes.
No, that's what I was saying. We need a workshop.
Average height people jokes, not
No,
little people
yes.
jokes.
That's
is
a
where you
play
go.
of Dear White People, I assume, right?
That is
Well,
actually
it
a
actually
play
came
on
from the
white
fact that
people.
just like people have questions. They're like, how do you have sex? How do you do this? How do you do this? And I wanted to have a piece of work that could just go, dear people who are asking, which are average height people. I don't get other minorities group asking, but it's like it's a comedy special, Jimmy. We're making fun of ourselves. We're making fun of everybody. The point is to bridge the gap between people like you and people like me who
I
are talented
understand.
who just want work. And we just want you to know that we're all on the same side.
We want to say one thing. Me and Gary are going to say it together. We love you. Say it.
Yeah, what he said.
Because we love people, we want to make people laugh, and we don't want to nobody upset.
I was just wondering. Yeah, have you thought of a headliner for the show you're talking
'Cause
about?
Gary and
Maybe
I are available.
Jimmy Lee, the New Jersey Outlaw.
The New Jersey Outlaw with Zach Bernstein wailing on that guitar and Gary coming in could be big.
No, I need, you don't know how much I need interviews like you in this documentary, because we need to see we need to hear people say midgets and talk to a little person.
No, not unless if Gary's with me. Gary's got to be on with me or I don't go on recording to this. Gary's my right arm.
Gary?
I think we.
Gary is my right
I
arm.
think we've done it
We've done it.
and said it all.
We've said it. Okay,
I think
guys,
more
we're
people
good.
should be inspired by you. But thank you guys.
Aubrey,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay,
It was
Thank you
great.
so much,
Thank
Aubrey.
you.
So
Take
much,
care.
Aubrey.
Good luck.
Thank you. You too, guys.
Okay.
you, Dave.
Bye bye.
Okay. Came to some sort of resolution there.
All right. Well, I think by the time you're done editing, we're going to have a good we're going to have a good 10-minute show here.
Now that's funny. Oh, now I think I need to take my Metamucil.
Is that a joke or you need to take your Metamucil?
Am I allowed to use the toilet before we go to our next segment?
Sure, yes.
I might throw up.
Oh, don't. Yeah, then definitely go in the bathroom.